Okay, so like I told you, I'm going to give you a little history on pendulums. Pendulums came out, I would say, 700 or 800, maybe earlier, BCE. If you're wondering what BCE stands for, that's before the Christian era. They were used in traditional medicine, like herbs, where the practitioner would hold a pendulum in one hand and take her other hand and place it over a person's body to find out where a person was hurting or what might be injured, so that they would be able to help that particular person. As the years went on, to where they were medical doctors, it was advised that, you know, after that type of checking, to go see your physician or whoever was the doctor. When they didn't have those kinds of doctors in those times, they were known as healers, which meant that they used the pendulum. They would mash on the person's area that was sore or hurting or inflamed. The pendulum would let them know if it had negative or positive energy there. 9 times out of 10 it was negative. They would feel around, and then they would get the correct herbs to try to help that person. They were used in finding water. They were used in helping to find new homesteads, locations, because back then, you know, you had to have rivers or small lakes or something like that to get water. You know, mountainous areas, stuff like that. It helped them to determine what foods could possibly be poisonous and what was okay. That one was a little iffy on the poisonous ones because pendulums can't taste, and they don't die. As years went on, then they started using them along with what is known as chakra stones to place on the body, starting from the tailbone and working up to the top of the head. The chakra stones, when laid out in the correct position, would help to unlock any part of your body that was blocked with negative energy and stuff. This stone right here is a chakra stone or a pendulum that works with my stones that I have. And when I have a headache or something, I use this one. It works very well too because you focus, it gets rid of the negative energy, it helps you to relax and the tension. So, as years went on, they were also used in association with alchemy. Gunpowder, gold, things like that. Just different things that we don't use today. Pendulums are a type of magical tool that witches use, or non-witches, depending on whatever you want to believe, to help guide them. They're used for locating things. They are used for everyday divination. They're used with oracle cards, tarot cards, like I did the other day. They are great to have around. They come in many, many different styles, as you can see. Like this. This is my obsidian one right here, which I've used quite a bit. It's on a longer chain. We have the volumizer, which is my milk quartz, which I used during the tarot reading. We have the Oregon ones, which, as you can see, have different colored stones crushed up and then put into a resin to make a multi-purpose one. Then you have your stones like this, which are encased in metal. They come with a lobster claw clasp to where you can put a chain on it and wear it as a necklace if you want to. I always recommend that for pendulums, you find a place that sells them. Whatever catches your eye, pick it up, see how it reacts in your hand. If it vibrates, if you get a feeling of calm, sense, anger, you know, you don't want anything that's a non-positive feeling. You want a positive feeling when you're holding it. You could even look at one to see what it makes you feel. If it makes you feel good, if it makes you feel bad, you can go by that. Here we have howlite. We have moonstone. This one is very small and very dainty, so I'm very careful with this one. Most of my readings I use with the obsidian and the volumizer, the milk quartz. And if I'm in a particular type of mood where I want a different type of answer, then I use my faithful Oregon one. Each of these that have the tree of life on them, these are kind of a new invention, but they're very nice. These are also Oregon, but they have copper in the bottom of it, which makes them stronger. Copper is a conductor for electricity, and your pendulums work with your natural flow of your body. So that is a very good plus on these. You have your tiger's eye, your dragon's blood here. I use that one quite a bit for certain things. But the one thing I like about these is that they can't lie. They don't know how to lie. They may get confused at a question that you ask them, but they won't lie. People who abuse these particular items should stop practicing whatever they're doing. I have seen people over and over call on spirits with these, not even taking into consideration what could possibly happen to these. These are very delicate. Some of these, when they are made, there might be a spirit that gets trapped in them. That's usually by accident. And the spirit stays. And you can find out if a spirit is in them by asking them. If they don't move, there's no spirit. If they say yes, then you can proceed to ask if it's a boy or a girl, child, or an adult. My volumizer does not have a spirit in it. My obsidian does, and it's a child. My red one back here also has a spirit in it. They will tell you if there is one or not, and I'll show you what I am talking about. Let me move this out of the way. You must always treat these with respect. I recommend that when you get one, you give it a wash with cool water, dry it off, and then sage it, which means you light your smudging stick and you hold it above. When you're energizing this with your own energy, you will hold it at the very tip, as you can see, and like this, with your hands over each other. This allows the energy to go up and down the chain from the palm of your hand to the other palm of your hand. Can you hear me? Yes, it can hear me. So, next, you want to make sure that you know what, or ask them, you want to know what they consider yes, no, maybe, I don't know, or ask again. So you would start by holding your pendulum like this, and you would ask, what is yes? And as you can see, it's going from top to bottom, this way. That is yes for this pendulum. Then, what is no? And as you can see, left to right, left to right, left to right. That is no for this pendulum. What is maybe? And as you can see, it is going in a clockwise circle. Oh, she's getting excited. Thank you, sweetie. You notice it comes to a full stop. What is, I don't know, or ask again? Counterclock. When you use a pendulum, you want to make sure that your elbow, if you can at all possible, keep it up off the table. If not, rest it comfortably. Make sure your legs are uncrossed and flat on the floor. You can ask it many things, but you cannot over stimulate it. So, what I want to know is, do I have a spirit trapped in this one? Yes. Are you a boy? No. Are you a girl? Yes. Are you an adult? No. Does it move? Are you a child? Okay. Will you tell me how old you are? No. Do you remember how old you were? No. Thank you, baby. So like I said, you know, these have been around since before the Christian era, used by many of our ancestors, still used today. These are not made to call up spirits. I have seen people in videos who will bombard the pendulum with questions such as calling the person's name over and over and over again. That is very confusing for them. They will ask, are you in the spirit world? The pendulum really doesn't know what to answer, so it goes to yes. because it's scared. It does, it's afraid that if it tells the wrong answer, I've seen them after they've gotten the answers, just throw them down on the tables. You can't do that. If you've got one with a spirit in it, they are very, very sensitive to what is going on. They are sensitive to the feelings that you have. If you do not care for them and show them love and respect, you are not going to get that back. You're either going to get a very confused pendulum that does nothing but quiver, is what I call it, or it's not going to answer you at all. So, like I said, for centuries, these were treated with the utmost respect and should still be that way. The only way this thing can tell a lie is if the person behind it is not willing to show their hand while they're holding it, which is like this, which means that they can take, okay, I'll use the longer part for that, okay, is that they have taken their finger and placed it to where they can make it swing, or swing another way. Now, if you can't see my hand, how are you going to know the truth? You don't. This is why I've always tried to make sure that my hand was down. Now, I do shake a little bit. I can't help that's because I have nerve and muscle damage on the right side of my body. And I have a camera I just found out was broke, and that is why it keeps wanting to zoom in and out and refocus and everything and cast shadows against me. That's why I have no candles lit today, because we're not doing a regular reading and I don't have to worry about it. Now, when you ask questions, they have to be simple questions that it can comprehend, because like I said, this one is a child. So I'm going to ask it let's see, let's put it, okay, how many children do I have, including my grandkids? Do you know? And it is telling me yes. So when you hear me say yes during a reading, I'm just relaying what it is telling on the board, because some people can't see a pendulum, some can. So always make sure that I say whatever answer it's giving. Would you like to use the numbers to tell me how many children I have? Again, it says yes. So we find the numbers on the board, which are up here, and we go to each one. Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? And if you can see it, is saying yes over the 5. That is correct, because I have a daughter and a son. I have 2 grandsons and a granddaughter. So that is 5 children in my family. The longer you work with these, the better you will get, to the point that it will spell to you if it gets a message. These work not only with your energy, but they also work with the surrounding energy from the universe. They can pick up energies that you may not even know are around. That's why they were used so many centuries ago, because they pick up everything. They're like a receiver. Whatever they receive, they will let you know. If you were unsure as to how to do one, you can get books like this. And this is beginning. This is Pendulum Magic for Beginners. And it will tell you how to go about doing it the correct and proper way. It is also used for older people who have been doing it for a while, like me, as a refresher course. There are some things that you will forget over time, but that's why you always keep these kind of books around to help with your pendulum readings. You can use pendulums with tarot cards like I did the other day. I don't like to pull a card with my fingers. Seems kind of fake, so that's why I used the volumizer. It pulled the cards that I needed, so that is what I pulled. And when I use the tarot cards, I use the books that come with those cards, or any tarot book that you can find, because in those books are the absolute true meanings of what those cards mean. If you've had 20, 30, 40 years experience with those types of cards, you've learned the meanings by heart. Newcomers who say they are psychics or mediums or this or that, who've only been doing it for less than 10 years, 10 or 11 years, whatever, they're not ones that I really put a lot of faith in. They're also the ones that I catch doing it for profit. There's also the ones I catch that will book an appointment, get your name, but the appointment will be like 3 or 4 days later. In that meantime, they have all the time in the world to access all your information on the internet to find out if you've had anybody die, what that person's name was, possibly what that person died of. They will tell you that, oh, yes, absolutely, they're here. And a good example of that is in the movie Warlock, when he goes to see the woman who's supposed to be able to channel spirits. She was a fake. So those are the types of people you have to be very careful with. It's okay, girls, settle down. Then you have another obstacle. There is a saying out there which goes, as above, so below, which means whatever happens here will happen below you. So if you are a mean and nasty person, guess what? It's going to happen again. When you use a board like this, it is not your traditional Ouija board. This is a dowsing board. It has the months, letters, zodiac signs, days of the week, months, yes, no, maybe, possibly, numbers. This takes practice to use these. Now, I got this one about 2.5 months ago. It didn't take me long to use it because I've always used a standard type board which just says yes and no on it. So this was pretty easy for me to master. So, but before I do a reading off of it, the first thing I do is I sage it. And when I do, I sage from the bottom first to block anything from coming through this. I absolutely will not tolerate something coming through this. And I sage it here so that it cannot come through. I don't want any spirits lingering in this board, especially when I'm using such delicate instruments. I always keep protection stones around it, which are my quartz, so that helps. And I use my selenite wand, my bigger one, and I lay on top of it to block any negativity. Now, the one thing I'm going to tell you is these are not made to use with the game that they invented many, many years ago called the Ouija board. The Ouija board was a mistake. It should never have been made. It is dangerous, whether you want to believe it or not. And when you use a pendulum that is vulnerable, anything can happen. You can trap something evil inside this and not know it. I will not deal with people who deal with Ouija boards. I've seen myself what can happen when that spirit comes through. It will lie to you. It will tell you it's a child, it's good, it's this, it's that. This is why I do not call upon spirits when I am doing a pendulum reading. And I will show you what I mean. Okay, precious. Is Julian Sands dead? Did I confuse you? Okay. This one doesn't know who Julian Sands is. Is the warlock dead? No. Is the warlock still on the mountain? No. Was he planning to kill himself? No. Very simple questions. Are you happy? Yes. How happy are you? And the harder they swing, the more attention they are trying to get from you. And she's trying to swing to the other side of the board. And for her, that's not too bad. Okay, settle down. Would you like to say hi to the audience? Yes? Okay. Say hi. Okay, you will see her quivering, which means she's trying to get your attention. Oh, you're such a good girl. So, Mama's going to hang you back up. The same with this one, as I told you. Do I have a spirit inside this one? And the answer is yes. Are you a boy? No. Are you a girl? 。 Are you an adult? Are you a child? Yes. Do you know how old you are? Do you want to use the numbers to tell me how old you are? No. Are you afraid to? Yes. So we're going to see if we get the same answers. Is the warlock dead? No. Is he still on that mountain? No. Did he want to kill himself? No. As you can see, they answer on their own. I have no part of what they answer. So, this is why I trust them. This is why I do my readings like I do. My readings take a lot out of me, especially if I'm doing them on moons, on a regular moon, full moon, whatever. The stronger the... You have to excuse my dogs. The stronger the moon, the more energy I lose. So that's why, instead of doing them every other day like I was doing them, I started doing them on the new moon and the full moon. But anyway, back to the Ouija board. Ouija boards, as I said, are dangerous. And I have seen what can happen. People think it's cute. They want to throw a party. Oh, we'll go out to a cemetery. We'll do this. We'll do that. No, you don't. There are 3 rules to using a Ouija board. After you wake that Ouija board up, you never, ever play with that by yourself. You do not sit anywhere by yourself and work that Ouija board. The Ouija board is a con artist. Trust me. Rule number 2, you never, ever play in a cemetery. You do not know where a new grave might be. You do not know who is buried in that cemetery. You do not know how old that cemetery is. Most people lay it on a grave. You don't know what type of person that Ouija board was, or that person was that is under that Ouija board. And you have to excuse me because I get very angry when it comes to this Ouija board thing. Next, if you go to somebody's house, a graveyard is a graveyard, no matter what. It's a cemetery, graveyard, whatever. You must always find out if anybody has died in the house where you are at with that Ouija board. Why I say that is because when people die, especially violent deaths, guess what doesn't leave the property? The spirit. It stays. Why? I don't know. Maybe it can't comprehend what has happened. Some of them can be very violent or turn violent over the years. A woman, everybody used to laugh at her, said she was fake, but she wasn't. And that was Mrs. Warren. She's the one who helped with the movies A Haunting in Connecticut, Annabelle, The Exorcist, let's see, The Conjuring, a few others. That woman was the real deal. And when she would have an episode where she would see what had happened or what was going on, it really took its toll on her. And she would sometimes end up in bed for 2 or 3 days recovering. Her godson is the guy who does the Haunted Collector, and she has helped him out several times with items that he had collected over the years that had been cursed. Yes, items can be cursed. Believe it or not, that's up to you, because we have so much evil around that they can go into these pendulums, they can go into these boards, everything, if you do not do your daily cleaning. And the one thing you do not want to do, especially with the Ouija board, like I said, is use a pendulum, which is very vulnerable. It doesn't know. So you have to be careful with these. You have to be careful with that Ouija board, because in a graveyard, like I said, you don't know who's there. Taking your pendulums into a graveyard is an absolute no-no. That is why they are kept, or were kept, in bags. I keep mine with constant cleansing stones, because I never know when I'm going to have to grab one. And the energy keeps the whole stand clean. Third rule to a Ouija board, and nobody ever does it. When you are done with a Ouija board, you always say, "End of session, goodbye." And you stop it right then and there. If you walk away from that Ouija board without telling it goodbye, I always tell this board goodbye. I don't have to, but I do, because you never know. I live in a house that is built on property where people died. People have died in my house. I'm not taking any chances for something to slip through the cracks when it comes to that. People say demons aren't real. Demons don't do this. Well, people, there you go. The complete encyclopedia of demons. It's not a little book. It's a big book. And these are only those that we know of. There's no telling how many more are out there that we don't know about yet, or haven't been put into books for us to study. Yes, I have studied this front to back, inside and out, for 50 years. I just keep buying newer versions because I wear the old ones out. This time I got paperback because it was easier. This is why. If you play with a Ouija board, I don't want nothing to do with you. Stay away from me. Don't even talk to me. If you don't like what I had to say, have a nice life. With these, same thing. Keep them away from anything negative. As I said, and you saw it, they will answer your questions correctly. They will tell you the answer. You cannot force an answer out of them unless you want to make money from it. I have no whatsoever desire to make money from this. I state the facts. If you like it, fine. If you don't, fine. Because I don't care if I hurt your feelings with the truth. If you can't handle the truth, I got a 7-letter word I can tell you. But I'm not going to say it. Figure it out on your own. This is why doing what I do can be dangerous. If you don't know what you are doing and you're playing around with magic, you're playing around with pendulums, you're playing around with Ouija boards, things that you should not have your hands on, the consequences for you are worse than what they will ever be for me. My ancestors, they used this. They used bones. They used rocks. They used runes. My ancestors are known as Northmen. That's where my line started from. It's a heritage that I am very proud of. They didn't play around with magic either. They had what was known as a seer. And usually a seer was somebody who was blind from birth. The seer used bones. He could tell what they said by the shape of them. He used pendulums made out of whatever he had at the time. And what I mean is, like this. This is a pendulum. It can be used with the boards. It's a stone with a little clasp in it. It can be used as a necklace, but I put it on a rope. Let's see. Forgive me, Loki. This. Two serpents. This is the symbol of Loki. But if I needed it a pinch, what is this? It can also be used as a pendulum. I don't like to use my medallions if I can keep from it. But, like I said, they can be used. And back to the pendulums. Like I said, their history may go back a lot further than what I know of. I know that they were used in the BCE eras, 600s, 700s, maybe a lot further back. I'm not sure about cavemen or any of that stuff. They were used in medical fields. Some are still used today, like for acupuncture and stuff. They still use the pendulum because it gives it more accurate positioning. Traditional medicines, which are herbs, mushrooms, funguses, stuff like that, that they knew were medicinal, could be used as medicine. They were used to help find water, sort of like what a dowsing, dowel rods or dowsing rods, where you hold them and they kind of, will tell you where water's at. And all of this predates the Christian era. It was the Christians, when they came in, did not like this stuff, even though they adopted it into their religions and used them. There's some places in the Bible, King Solomon, who uses pendulums, who has also stated that he can control demons. Unfortunately, demons will only tolerate so much. And then that's it. In the movie Warlock and Warlock Armageddon, you saw two different things when it comes to pendulums. When Hugh Grant used the compass, if you noticed that on each side of the compass was a pendulum. It was a counterbalance. It's what kept it where it needed to be. the harder it swang and moved, the closer the warlock was. The slower or stopping meant that he was further away or nowhere around them. In Armageddon, the stones that the warlock were after, those were runes that predate back to my ancestors and further back. It was a way that we communicated. It told us words, the whole 9 yards. I keep my hands covered in runes, and they're tattooed on, so they don't come off. My pendulums, you know, I have prayers that I say over them. I try to make sure that they are safe, that they are out of people's way. I don't let people play with them, and I don't let people touch them. I don't let them use them. So, with that said, remember, pendulums can't lie. They predate back before the Christian era. They were used in traditional medicines, along with herbs and stuff like that. They were later adopted into modern day by modern day physicians. They're still used today for acupuncture, for chakras. The Orientals, they use them a lot. So, you know, we know there that they are a very valued instrument of medicine, insight, and truth, as they are now. As I said, if you don't believe me, that's your choice. I don't really care. When I make my readings and it gives me the answers, I will tell you, if you cannot see the pendulum, what it said. Yes, no. That's all I will say. I won't add anything else to it. I try to word my questions to where I get a direct answer, not some off-the-wall bullshit like I get from a lot of people. So, if you have any more questions about this, please feel free to drop me a DM. I will try to answer it. But right now, I'm trying to figure out why we lost Isabel. She was a very important part of this tribe with gifts that only most people dream about. And it aggravates me to come back from doing whatever I was doing and find out that my sensitive/empath is no longer there. And I won't tolerate it. I put this tribe together for a reason. I can destroy it just as fast. So, if anybody knows why she left, or if something was said to her, or a remark was made, I need to know. Because the person who did it will not be welcome. And that's all I have to say. So, anyway, like I said, you can believe what you want when it comes to the pendulums. I've showed you, I gave you the truth, told you about the books, how long they have been in existence. 500 BCE, that is a long time ago. That was before Christ. And they are still used till this day. They are valued, they are trusted, they are trustworthy, And as I stated, the only way they wouldn't be that way is if they had been abused by the people who use them, or the person is using them for profit, which means you don't see their hand, you don't know if they are moving it or not. If you ask them, please, can we see your hand? And they tell you no, that should tell you right there, they're liars. So anyway, I'm going to go. I'm going to see if I can fix my phone because I can't afford a new one. But please listen to what I say about the pendulums, your boards, especially your Ouija board. Don't be playing with any spirits. Don't be calling on any spirits. Don't call any spirits up. Don't call the spirit world. Nothing. Because I can't help you fix that problem if they come through. Don't go play in the cemeteries with any kind of boards like that. Don't go play in a cemetery with the stones. They pick up what a board picks up. Yeah, we still have an ice cream man. Why, I don't know. There ain't no kids here. So, these in a cemetery, absolutely not. And I mean absolutely not. So, I'll talk to you guys later.